Belinda from Soap Dirt, and I want to discuss the fate of adorable Violet Finn and whether or not her dad is going to be able to keep custody of her. Is there about to be a battle between Finn and Chase over the little cutie? Let's dive into this mess, but first, please subscribe if you haven't so you don't miss any of our General Hospital updates. Thank you so much for supporting our channel. All right, so we have Finn grieving, and of course, he has every right to, as he should be, but the way he's behaving is not an okay way to deal with that grief. He's boozing, he's destructive, and he's making excuses for the boozing, saying, oh, it's okay for me to drink like this. I'm only a drug addict. And then as we saw Friday and then on Monday's episode, he's been completely horrible to Elizabeth Weber. And I'm betting before this week is out, Finn is going to be awful to his brother Harrison Chase, his sister-in-law Brooklyn Quartermaine, and probably some other people. I mean, if he is drunk, he may also be awful to Tracy when he sees her. I expect he's going to be awful to anybody who questions him, criticizes him, or tries to get him to stop drinking. The bottom line, Finn is probably not going to be able to pull himself out of this dark spiral without some help. But at the same time, he's also not going to agree to get that help, at least not yet. I think he's got to hit bottom and dig a little. This is kind of he's just started doing this deep dive. Usually people have to really ruin things before they're willing to go, okay, I need help. And yeah, he's an adult making bad choices, but an adult. His daughter, Violet Finn, should not be subjected to any of this because she is an innocent child. She does not need to see her father raging or drunk or lashing out at people that she loves. That is wildly inappropriate. And Finn has shown from the day that Gregory Chase died that he's not thinking clearly about Violet's well-being. Chase is, and so is BLQ, so is Liz, so is Tracy. Remember that day Liz stopped by to see him? It was the day where, Gregory died overnight. And so that next day she was there. She smelled the booze. She knew he'd been drinking. And she asked very nicely, without making any accusations, to pick up Violet and take her home because she knew he'd been drinking. Instead of doing the right thing and saying, okay, he was very rude to Liz. Thankfully, he kind of had a moment of sanity and let Brooklyn take Violet out while he and Chase talked. But if Finn keeps making these bad choices, keeps circling the drain, Violet's going to be caught up in something she should not be. She's also grieving too. She loved her grandpa Gregory. So the last thing she needs is to see her dad drunk, raging, and falling apart. And that's what BLQ and Chase realize, and Liz does too. Now though, Liz has walked away, dumped him after she caught Finn drunk and cheating, and he said vicious things to her before Jason Morgan rode to the rescue, which I loved seeing that, got her out of there. I do think Liz, though, is going to be part of getting him help. She doesn't want to be with him, doesn't want to deal with another addict. This will be her third. But she also feels for him and is very concerned for Violet. So I just wonder if Finn's going to realize that all these people are trying to help him or if he's going to feel targeted. I do expect we're going to see an intervention probably by the end of this week. Spoilers for Thursday, June 13th say Liz and Chase both voiced their concerns. And the same day it says Finn is determined about something. So I'm guessing it's an intervention. Chase and BLQ, they just told Tracy they want to move Violet into the Q mansion while her dad goes to rehab. Of course, Tracy doesn't think it's going to be that easy. I think the spoiler about Finn being determined is twofold. Determined about keeping his daughter close and in his custody, and also determined about that he doesn't need rehab. I do think since Tracy has pledged to help, she may be at that intervention, BLQ, maybe Alexis. The problem with an intervention is, if you think about it, it's a lot of people confronting one person. That can make the addict, the alcoholic, the drug addict, whatever addiction it is, feel ganged up on. I just imagine. I've never had an intervention done on me. I've never sat in an intervention, not really, kind of low key, but I have dealt with an alcoholic parent. So this storyline kind of hits home a bit for me, probably for some of you out there. My dad did end up in rehab, but it took years to get him there. And I sure hope Finn ends up there too, but I think he's going to have to fall a little further first. Just because all these other people think he's at rock bottom doesn't mean that he'll acknowledge it. Not yet, I don't think. Tracy pledged her support, told them Violet's welcome to spend the summer at the Q Mansion, and she joked that all the other loose kids of Port Charles are going to be running amok there anyway. So I just wonder if this discussion they have later this week will push BLQ and Chase to look seriously at legal options if Finn isn't going to voluntarily let them temporarily caretake Violet while he gets his crap together. I mean, Finn has a track record of addiction, past medical suspension. Remember, he had stole pills at the hospital before. He shouldn't honestly still even have a job at General Hospital. And now there's witnesses to his new addiction and his refusal to protect Violet from his bad behavior. So I have to say, I totally agree. Chase, BLQ, Liz, Tracy, all of them, everybody involved should prioritize Violet over Finn. He's an adult making bad choices, his choices to make, but she should not have to see any of this. They got to make her the focus. They have to protect her. You can feel sympathy for Finn. They can understand that he's grieving, but they can't let him subject Violet to any of this. I mean, who knows what he might say to her while he's drunk, the same way he just said some horribly abusive things to Liz, just unprovoked out of nowhere. I can see Chase hating to do it, hating to pile stress on top of Finn's grief, but he's honorable and adores his niece. So I do think he will protect her from her drunk daddy if he has to, even if it means going to court. I also wonder if all this is going to come down to Finn leaving for rehab, leaving Violet behind. Don't forget, she has a mother still out there she could go stay with, you know? And I also just wonder if Michael Easton is leaving General Hospital. I have heard some rumors. And if he does, and that's a big if, I'm not saying it's happening, I'm saying I've heard rumors. I wonder if Violet would stay there in Port Charles with family, or if they would explain that she had gone to live with her mother, Hayden. I mean, she can't go to rehab with Finn, or maybe she'll stay with them and then he goes to rehab and comes back. We'll certainly see how it goes. A big, messy court battle could be ahead. I kind of hope not. They don't do long trials. It's always like usually a day or two, a week at the most of episodes. I hope we don't have to deal with that. I hope Finn snaps out of this spiral long enough to realize he needs help and take the hands reaching out to him. But if it comes down to a battle, I think his brother is up to it. So we'll see how it goes. What do you hope to see as the outcome? Finn in rehab and back to Port Charles healthy? Finn in rehab, then gone? And where do you hope Violet ends up? Share your thoughts. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't. And don't forget to stop by every day. There's GH news and updates right here 7 days a week with me, Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.